Let's begin.
Here we go! Hi, everybody!
Start the insanity.
You are not worried, are you?
Me? No.
Well, we're waiting.
Hello, welcome to Super Media All Stars, our weekly podcast, and tonight we are talking about movies. I'm your host, John Harris, and tonight I'm joined by Jake Boston.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Andy Guild.
That's not how he did. You are lying. It's bullshit. I never hit you. I fucked that up. Move on.
And our first time special guest, Riley Briggs.
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you.
If you guys didn't pick up on that, we were trying to do disaster artist impressions or Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau, yeah.
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau impressions. That's what we were going with that
Well,
one.
we were doing the Room impressions, but I think all those lines show up in the Disaster
Yeah,
Artist.
they
too.
do, yeah.
Yeah, because they're the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be the main topic of our show today. We all saw the disaster artist earlier last week, I believe, and we're going to share our thoughts on there. There's a few things in the news we're going to cover, and then we have a special Riley Briggs trivia at the end.
Woo.
But guys, it's been only about half a week since we talked,
It sure has.
but how's it going?
It's going all right. I have a week off of work, so it's been very refreshing to just do a whole lot of nothing.
Nice, nice.
Mm-hmm.
You have this week off? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That's a really good week to have off.
Yeah.
Pre-holiday.
Yep.
Wow.
Ask for it off every year, and I get it because nobody wants it. I don't get it.
Weird. Yeah.
I have the next 2 weeks off, so.
Oh,
there you go.
nice.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working.
I had a day off today. Yeah. Great.
Since we talked, you guys watch anything new?
I haven't talked about Lady Bird yet.
Oh, yeah, we have that in
Oh.
our review roundup.
Oh, boy, I'll save that then.
Yeah.
Right now, I'll just talk about my SNL.
I think you talked about that last time.
Yeah, but there's another one.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's the other one?
The mid-season finale with Kevin Hart, Anthony's favorite.
I
Oh.
watched that too.
How was that?
It was all right.
It was all right?
I like James Franco's SNL way better.
Really?
But it was cool the way they ended it. Usually they end it with like the band playing and everybody on stage. This time they ended it like in Rockefeller Plaza ice skating.
It was
It was at the very
Foo Fighters,
end.
right?
Yeah, Foo Fighters sang like a Christmas song.
Yeah,
and,
that was cool.
that was a cool segment. Yeah.
Good
Did
stuff.
The Rock make a cameo with him?
Surprisingly, no.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like that was an instant tie-in.
yeah, you would think, but I guess The Rock's too good to be a guest host or
Huh.
not a host,
A
but
cameo?
A cameo,
And
exactly.
for SNL?
Yeah, I
Because
guess.
he wasn't pushing Jumanji or anything, right?
No,
Why would he?
Yeah.
I feel like they don't want people to see that movie.
unless he's filming that side-off Fast and Furious movie already with Statham.
I know that's supposed to be starting.
I
Yeah.
bet they're in early production for that.
I
They
would
have
guess
to
so.
be.
Mm-hmm.
Any shows you two are watching?
I watched. I actually watched this a while ago. I just didn't bring it up last time. Vice Principals.
Oh,
I
yeah,
watched
yeah.
that too.
Yeah,
Yep.
you saw that?
First season, right?
Yeah, the second season should be out. All the way it just wrapped up, and they
Yeah, it's been done for about a couple months now.
yeah, and they finished it off on a pretty satisfying conclusion. I really liked the whole run of it.
It ends at 2 seasons then?
Yeah, there's 2 seasons, 10 episodes each.
I don't know if they said they'd pick it up for a third or not.
It seemed pretty final when they how everything wrapped up. They could though, when they picked up Eastbound and Down, it seemed like it was pretty wrapped up, and then the fourth season was kind of a weird
That was
secondary plot.
I didn't like the fourth season.
I really liked the fourth season. Oh,
I wasn't a fan of that.
I've been watching Shameless. We just bought Showtime again.
Oh,
and-
so you have the new season?
Yeah.
You
yeah.
bastard.
And
That show's so good.
yeah, it's pretty funny. What else? I just got Planet Earth 2 to watch on my 4K HDR
Nice.
TV.
How sophisticated of you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We were actually laughing at it last night, me and my wife, and yeah. And we also watched a lot of the CW superhero shows like Arrow and Flash, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and they had a pretty cool 4-part crossover.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, with like Nazis and stuff. It was pretty cool.
yeah, those I've heard those shows are just ridiculous after a certain point.
yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the news portion of our show. And a lot of this is going to be some follow-up stories and some review roundup section that we're calling it. But last time we talked about Star Wars, The Last Jedi. We shared a lot of our impressions. A couple guys here. One hasn't seen yet, Riley hasn't seen yet, but Andy, you saw it.
Yep.
Without spoiling, what's your general thoughts about The Last Jedi?
It was a fun movie. There were 3 scenes in particular that I really enjoyed that kind of stick out as like for future classic Star Wars scenes. One in particular, I think, might be the best thing they've ever filmed. The throne room scene.
Yep. I would
That
agree.
might be my favorite Star Wars moment ever.
It's pretty good.
I think the problems I have are with I thought the writing was kind of meh. There's some goofy stuff in there, and then the humor didn't really land for me.
I would agree. There's quite a few
Especially
things.
the first scene with Poe kind of made me
Yep.
worried. I was
Yep.
like, is this what we're doing? Are we doing like the Justice League? Everyone has to be a jokester thing. But I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10.
Nice. So, 3.5 out of 5 here?
Yeah,
4.
that's what it ranks down to.
I
Yep.
was waiting for you to bitch about my 10 scale. That's why I kind of glared at you.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
Star Wars pulled in $220 million its first weekend domestically.
So who won our bet? Do we have?
Kevin?
Did he go over?
Kevin went with 217.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
yeah,
he was the top tier, and he pulled in the winning prediction.
Kevin
Gotcha.
dominates you guys at like all this like trivia,
Yeah,
box
yeah.
office.
he's kind of undefeated, and it pisses me off a
Yeah,
lot.
it should.
Is this part of your draft or just a separate bet?
Just
No,
a separate bet.
Usually, when there's a big movie that comes out, we just guess on how big the first weekend box office is going to be.
Okay.
So this falls short of The Force Awakens by about $25 million, which was predicted.
Yeah, but it's still the second highest grossing weekend ever for a
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah, and definitely killed all 2017 records. So,
Mm-hmm.
which we predicted, and it's obviously it makes sense. Star Wars is going to carry those numbers.
I want to
So,
say the second highest was Beauty and the Beast with 178.
yeah, which
so-
just smashed.
Yeah, it's still
So,
Disney.
Yeah,
so-
it's all Disney.
Yeah, Disney rules everything.
Now they rule even more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Our next story, following up on the story from last week, Disney's acquisition of Fox makes it the most powerful studio pretty much of all time. If you track studios, there's been pretty much like Big 8s, there was one point Big 10, there was a Big 6 for a long time, but now we're down to what's called the Big 5, essentially. And if you guys look at your sheets here, I kind of marked down what was the studios we had for 2017, and that included Buena Vista, Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, 20th Century Fox, Sony, Lionsgate, and Paramount. That's 7, but Paramount, Lionsgate kind of switch back and forth sometimes.
Which
but
is sad. Paramount should be way ahead of Lionsgate.
it should. Mm-hmm. But now with Disney absorbing 20th Century Fox, that almost takes up to almost 35% of the market shares in theaters.
It's disgusting.
That is nuts.
Well, okay, so there was a thing recently where someone was trying to buy CNN, I believe. It was some kind of news deal, and the government was going to step in and stop it because of antitrust, like basically creating kind of a market-dominated monopoly. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to do something similar here, but I don't think there's anything that they can do about it.
I remember reading about this too, and whatever the clause was, what the previous story that you're mentioning, something fell through there, and they're saying that that won't be a problem this time around.
This doesn't go into place until like mid 2019.
Oh, really?
So there's still
Oh.
a year and a half for them to like figure shit out. But yeah, they just put their offer out, and now they have to work out everything. But yeah, from what I've heard, like it's a $52 billion deal that they're doing, and the majority of them getting some of their money back is them cutting jobs, which really sucks.
Yeah, there was an article that posted on IGN that said up to possible 10,000 jobs could be lost from this acquisition.
That's just awful.
Yeah, because there's so much overlap between these studios that, they're going to have duplicate positions. Mm-hmm. But that sucks. Hopefully they find a better situation than people losing their jobs.
When Brett and I went to California for E3, we went to the Paramount lot to do a studio tour.
Yeah.
I really wish we would have went to 20th Century Fox, because I feel like that fucker's just going to get demolished.
You think so?
And it makes me so sad.
So just for the fun of it all, let's do a little roundabout thing here. If any properties get killed or dropped from Disney, which ones are going to hit the fan here?
Oh, God, there's so many.
I'll kick it off. I think we're not going to see Aliens anytime soon. I think Aliens is going away.
Yeah.
Just because of lack of performance. The last one, Ridley Scott's iffy directing style recently.
Isn't there already another one coming?
They was.
Oh, okay.
And I think it got
They're
axed.
supposed to. There's a new Predator being made right now.
It's a
Yeah.
Predator like remake, isn't it?
Yeah. But
With Olivia Munn.
Yeah.
yeah, as far as Aliens go, Scott had planned to start filming immediately, but then Fox pulled the plug from it and then talked about it since. So
I really hope. I know that Avatar 2 and 3 are already being made, but I hope this makes Avatar 4 and 5 not a thing. Because we don't need 5 fucking Avatars. We don't.
Yeah, just kill it. That's such a weird thing. They've been
Yeah.
talking about the Avatar sequels for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
It's
My guess
ridiculous.
is it'll still get made because there's an Avatar land in Disney World now.
Ugh.
So they're just going to want as many movies as possible for that fucking
It's gonna
property.
do well no matter what. Yeah, everybody always doubts James Cameron.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Which brings me, Future Man. There's a whole I think the 7th or 8th episode is all about James Cameron's house and how they have to infiltrate it, and there is like a AI that controls James Cameron's house, and it's pretty funny.
Real quick, just for the people listeners, what is Future Man?
It's a Hulu original with Josh Hutcherson, and you watched the first episode.
I watched
too,
the
right?
first episode.
Or part of it.
I can't think of who else was in it. Paul Scheer was in it in the beginning.
Yeah, he's not the
As
main
a-
character, but
The main girl's from Happy Endings. I know that. I loved that show on ABC.
yeah,
I don't
but
remember her name, though.
It's basically like he's playing a video game, and then the video game comes to life, and it's the Last Starfighter or something. It's like
yeah,
they
something like
reference
that. Like
they
some
reference that it was like basically the same plot for Starfighter, and he's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, because they
No, keep going.
what wasn't it that they sent the Starfighter game back into the past to find out who could beat it, and then they recruited him.
Oh, really?
I think
Basically.
was
well,
what
it's a
happened.
different game, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, same concept.
What do you guys think about like Simpsons and Family Guy, all those animated shows that Fox does? Does that get pulled underneath the Disney brand?
We'll see. I don't think there's... I know that there were talks to do a second Simpsons movie. I don't think they'll do that under Disney.
No.
And the main thing that I don't think is going to be a thing anymore is Blue Sky.
Oh,
The
the
animation studio they have that made like Ice Age.
Oh, yeah.
They made Ferdinand, and that totally bombed this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why would they keep it around if it's not if they already have Pixar?
And Disney
Yeah.
animation.
Why even
Yeah.
have that be a thing?
They don't need it. That's just so many jobs lost, and just They made the Peanuts movie, and I really liked that movie. So
I hope they kill any future pre-production Die Hard movies with Bruce Willis
Really?
because I think that they need to go away.
I could see that.
I could see
animated.
them. I could see them rebooting Die Hard with
that-
like Jason Momoa or something.
there's a script out there called Die Hard Year One.
Oh no!
No, and they do flashbacks. So it's old man Bruce Willis, and then it's like first year on the job Bruce Willis.
It's like
it won't be
Josh,
Bruce Willis though. It'll be somebody else. Yeah.
Would they bring back Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Yeah,
for another
Joseph
Looper
Gordon-Levitt,
For
yeah.
Looper, that'd be cool. Yeah.
the Looper situation. This next section is going to be what we're calling the review roundup. We haven't done this in a while, but usually we just trying to catch up on movies that we saw or didn't see and kind of go over the reviews and things that we've heard, or maybe some of us have seen it. But this first one we all saw, Star Wars. After the weekend, it cleaned up on Metacritic about 86.
I know Rotten Tomatoes, it's the highest rated by like 1 point. It's
Oh,
like
really?
1 point above Force Awakens, but yeah, Metacritic. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked up their scores.
You saw the user score on Metacritic or on Rotten Tomatoes is like 50%.
Yeah, it's
basically
horrible, yeah.
because Star Wars fans like to bitch about anything.
And that's kind of where it's at on Metacritic. It's at a 4.8
Oh,
on,
yeah, there
on
it is.
Meta, so it's not great.
That's crazy.
That's mostly fans weighing in saying, we didn't like it, but critics did.
I saw something that kind of blew my mind. I guess Rian Johnson wrote, directed, and had like full creative control over this movie, and J.J. Abrams didn't really have any direction he was going after The Force Awakens.
I think that's correct.
J.J. Abrams is the master of leaving things open-ended, though.
Yeah, like Lost. They just ask a bunch of questions, they don't answer them.
There were a few times in The Last Jedi where Rian Johnson's just like, oh, JJ, you decided to do this? Well, I don't like that, so fuck off.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
Felt like they were like looking right at the audience when they did a couple things.
Yep.
And so he gets to do 3 more movies after this,
Yeah.
right?
He does his own Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, they gave him the next trilogy, which is a really good idea. He did a good job.
And
Of
then,
anything he wants, though.
Another movie that came out was The Shape of Water, and this was a movie we actually want to get around to seeing. We just haven't yet, but it's doing actually right up there with Star Wars too. It's got a Metacritic score of 86, but the users are liking it more than Star Wars at 6.4.
And this actually got the most nominations of any movie at this year's Golden Globes,
Right.
which
And-
is crazy. Like,
Wow.
I feel like this movie came out of nowhere. I mean, we've wanted to see it, but I didn't think it'd be up for award contention, you know?
yeah, especially at the end of the year. So this is Guillermo del Toro's recent rendition. Did I say that right?
Guillermo.
Guillermo del Toro.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought you were okay with it.
This critics are saying this is pretty much his next best since Pan's, that's a big statement because I love Pan's Labyrinth. We'll see how that turns out. Our next one is on Saturn's side, which we kind of knew this. Ferdinand was an animated film that came out right next to Star Wars on the 15th. And
John Cena sucks.
yeah,
Wait, John Cena's in this?
he's the main bull.
Yeah, he's the main
Oh
character.
no!
It's an animated movie about a
oh
bull.
honey, why?
It pulled in a Metacritic score of 58, and surprisingly, the user score is only 5.3. So
Yeah.
I barely heard of it. Like I think I saw half a trailer, and yeah, I totally forgot about it.
yeah, we saw a preview during Coco, and it was like John Cena trying to pump this movie up, like physically in person, trying to
Yeah,
pump
it
it
was so
up.
stupid. Like
Oh,
I play
no.
Ferdinand, and I connect to this character because
Yeah, like
he feel like he doesn't belong. Just like what the fuck do you talking about?
it was like a
John Cena?
high school presentation. It was
Yeah.
weird.
Did you know John Cena was never an actual Marine?
What?
He was a bodybuilder. He never joined the army.
Is he in a movie called The Marine?
Yeah, he was in a movie
Oh,
called The
okay,
Marine.
okay.
But for some reason, I thought he was like a service member for a long time.
That's what he wants you to think.
Yeah, and then I
also
found out he was a
played
bodybuilder.
Marine and Psych, I think too.
Was
like,
he?
Yeah,
was
he
like
had-
a
he had-
side
yeah.
character that was
He's
like
had
yeah.
cameos as like that kind of
As a
butch.
Marine.
Yeah, yeah.
And he fights in like fucking camo cargo shorts and all this shit. So yeah, he always
Yeah, so-
salutes the troops and everything.
John Cena's a fraud, and he deserved this,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah.
And our last movie we're going to talk about real quick, one of us actually got a chance to see it, is Lady Bird. This is actually came out way beginning of November, and it kind of got its own peak because it got really great user or critic reviews, and users are liking it too. On Metacritic, it cleaned up at 94. User rating is 6.9. Jake, you had a chance to see this. Share us with your thoughts, and then what is kind of the general consensus that critics are getting around this movie?
Well, the main reason why I wanted to see it because at the time it was the highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes ever, surpassing Toy Story 2.
Is that
So
still
I'm
the
like-
case?
No, it actually dropped. It got one negative review, so now it's in second place.
Somebody did that on purpose.
Yeah, I know, right? They actually gave the review a B-, but you can say on Rotten Tomatoes if you think it's fresh or rotten, and he chose rotten. So
So I'm going to see this eventually, but what is your give us your quick smash review of Lady Bird,
When I-
spoiler free.
yeah, when I first saw it, I just thought it was okay. It was like a run-of-the-mill coming-of-age movie. Like this is kind of like a mix between like Wes Anderson and Superbad. Like
Okay.
It's got the Wes Anderson style at the very beginning, mixed like it's like a female version of Superbad. It's got the two main tropes that Superbad does. So the more I keep on thinking about this movie, the more I like it. Like this is a movie that has stuck with me, and I didn't really think that was going to be the case.
Sure.
It goes from like her going from high school, graduating, and then going like her first week in college. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that this movie does that is subtle and I didn't appreciate when I first saw it, but I keep on thinking back to it and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really good movie. Oh, these performances are really spot on.
And is it worthy of the praise it's gotten, you think?
It's good. I mean, it's definitely so high on people's radar because there are two really good performances. The main one, who is played by Saoirse Ronan, and then the mom of Saoirse Ronan, who is Laurie Metcalf from like Roseanne. Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of those are really good performances.
Sweet. Excited to see it.
Do you think we'll be hearing about this come like award show time?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Laurie Metcalf will be Best Supporting Actress nominated. Saoirse Ronan has a chance to be the Best Actress nomination. It'll be close in that one. Laurie Metcalf has a good chance to win it.
Wow.
From what I've seen for Supporting
Yeah.
Actress, for sure. I'd probably rate this like a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Mhm.
That's good.
It was,
Yeah.
it was pretty damn good.
Does she have an Irish accent in the movie? I
No.
watched her on SNL.
Yeah. So, good. You watch SNL too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Everybody gives me crap about doing that. But no, she doesn't. It's just they live in California, so she just has that.
I mean, I play video games while I watch it, so
yeah,
you know,
Well,
that's what
that's
the
fine.
Switch is for, right?
exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and jump to the main portion of our show, and that is, like I said earlier, we all saw The Disaster Artist in the previous week, and this first part will be spoiler-free,
I don't feel like you can spoil too much of this movie.
but there's some key parts that we don't want to ruin for you, as important as not important as it may be. It's based off the movie called The Room, and this movie came out about, 15 years ago?
Yeah, in 2003.
Could someone briefly recap, because I'm not an expert on this movie, what that movie is?
It's a very independent film, written, directed, and starring
And funded by.
and funded by Tommy Wiseau, who is this like modern day man of mystery. He's a weird guy with a weird accent that nobody can really nail down, who claims to be from New Orleans. And
but he's European for sure.
yeah, he has to be like Eastern European. And he The interesting thing about the movie, it's really terrible. It's a really bad like script. It makes no sense. I feel like he wrote the movie and then he changed it as they were filming it day by day, maybe even, and it just feels like a disjointed mess. But it became a cult classic
For being like the worst movie, the worst movie of all time.
the best bad movie ever is what it's referred to as.
So, and that's what the Disaster Artist is about, is kind of Tommy in the making of The Room. And this is directed by, written by, I think he helped write it, and then he stars is James Franco as Tommy. When you guys first saw this, when you first walked out, what was your initial thoughts on this movie?
I couldn't stop laughing during it, especially because the crowd I was with, we had all just watched the Room like 1 hour before that, and so we were pretty hyped, and we kind of have a group that have watched it a couple times over the years. And
I walked out super hyped. I loved it. I thought it was there are some issues with it, but I like the humor was there. It cracked me up the entire time. His James Franco as Tommy Wiseau is perfect.
Yeah, I thought it worked really well.
I think him as Tommy is better than Tommy as Tommy, because if you listen to Tommy Wiseau give interviews, he's he's like mumbling and he's not really telling the truth either.
Yeah. So I watched it with Andy and Riley, and I was not expecting. I knew it was gonna be a comedy, but I didn't expect it to be that funny. And based off the performances and just seeing like the shenanigans that go on behind the film of this already crazy movie that already exists, I just thought it was hilarious, and I wasn't expecting that at all. But Jake, you saw it separately from us. What did you think?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday by myself with a crowd of like 15 people at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
And how'd that go over for you?
I don't know. I had really high hopes for this movie going in. Like, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm a huge fan of Rogen and Franco and all that stuff, and I just came out not really liking it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
I wasn't a big fan of this movie.
Wait, so are you a fan of The Room? Like, have you seen The Room?
Before I went and saw this movie, I looked up like best of clips on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Because that's all
Yeah.
I could find. This fucker isn't streaming anywhere. The Room, it's streaming or for purchase. It didn't sit with me right. I wanted it. It was funny, but I felt like it was being funny. It was offense. Like, it was just. There you go. Thank you.
Riley just handed Jake the DVD of The Room.
Oh my god!
And you do have to watch this. It's required watching, I think.
I don't know. I think you still need to watch it with another person.
Well, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the main problem I have with this movie. I feel like you need to be a fan of The Room to enjoy The Disaster Artist.
Yeah, the more you
Yeah, I
know
agree.
about
Yeah.
the like you listen to the entire audiobook, and you were telling me some like little pieces of the audiobook, like the whole thing about his putting crap in his pockets.
Yeah.
And I could appreciate more of these little jokes more because I knew that that's what really happened.
Yeah, and the movie like truncates like tons of parts of the story.
This movie's barely 90 minutes. Like, if it weren't for the shot-for-shot stuff at the end and like the random celebrities loving the movie at the beginning, this
Yeah.
movie wouldn't even hit 90 minutes.
I feel like they cut a lot, and they explained, the writers were on How Did This Get Made, and they explained that they cut a few scenes that kind of distracted from, because they were trying to tell the story of Tommy and Greg overall over everything else, and they cut some things that distracted from that.
Yeah, and everybody from I haven't listened to that episode of How Did This Get Made, but everybody that's on there is in this movie, which is weird. Like, I don't know. Jason Mantzoukas is barely in it, but everything he was in was really good. Like, there's a lot of funny parts, and I feel like this movie didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy or like a drama or just like an actual telling 100% of the story. It was jumbled to me, like all over the board.
It's almost like The Room itself. I've heard similar reviews of people that weren't like big fans of The Room that didn't care for it. But I listened to a James Franco interview on WTF with Mark Maron, and he explains a little more about like how he bought the rights for the book like immediately and started writing it, and he originally was gonna like make it himself, and it was gonna be more of a drama and more of like an art, whatever,
Sure,
and a more artistic piece. And but then he really wanted to involve Seth and what's his partner, Evan
Goldberg.
Evan
Yeah.
Goldberg.
So, looking at this movie from a story perspective, which is behind the scenes of how The Room was made, and how Steve and Tommy and Mark met. How do you guys like that approach?
I thought it was good. I would have liked more of the making of The Room. scenes.
Sure.
Because it was the beginning. It was like Act 1 was Greg and Tommy, which was great, and they set everything up. Act 2 was the making of the room, and then Act 3 was, the premiere.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like if we got more of the behind the scenes stuff, that stuff worked the most for me. But then you would have been taking the whole movie a different direction because, as I said, they wanted to tell the story of Greg and Tommy.
Right.
I felt the biggest chunk of this movie was Tommy and Mark meeting.
Yeah,
which I don't know if that was the right direction or not, because a lot of like the side plot stuff that happens with Mark and somebody that he falls in love with doesn't really go anywhere in this movie. This is my opinion. I like movies that tell like the backstory of making of movies. So I would have liked a lot more of like the making of the room stuff. I just feel like it's such a short film. They could have dragged out some of these scenes or added a couple more in there just to add something to this.
Well, maybe Riley can give some context. Was there any part in any other of this material where they talk about Alison Brie's character, Amber, the girlfriend? Like, is that...
She's not a main part of the book besides like the part about she didn't want him to have a beard or something, and that was like basically the only part in the book. But yeah, I was wondering like if they took out them meeting in the beginning, like would people understand why these two people are friends at all?
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
people that weren't Room
because
fans?
it is super weird, and that was the other thing the screenwriters had trouble with. The entire plot hinges on Greg sticking around for this movie where everything's going wrong and he's being kind of treated poorly by Tommy at certain times, and I think they might have wedged Alison Brie in there to give him some kind of motivation to grab success or try to build a life with her or something like that.
I have some stuff to say about that in spoilers, but it seems like when something happens midway into the filming of the room, there's no real reason why he sticks there.
Yeah,
sticks around.
Should we jump into the spoilers?
Oh, sorry, I
feel like
we got.
No, it's okay.
I didn't even realize that.
We got another section left.
Oh
but-
yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Right now we're just kind of thinking of general thoughts, but we'll get more into the story a little bit in the spoilers. But what do you guys think of James Franco as Tommy? I think he did a great job, like Andy, you said earlier.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
There's a few mannerisms that he just nails completely, really well.
I feel like this is the reason why James Franco bought the rights to The Disaster Artist, is so he could try to get an Oscar nomination for being Tommy Wiseau.
Well, I could have swore at one point I read that there was somebody else that Franco wanted to do Tommy, and then Franco ended up doing himself.
Oh, really?
Tommy wanted Johnny Depp.
Maybe
That's one of the things.
He mentions Johnny Depp in the movie too, which I feel like he probably thought he could get Johnny Depp for the room at some point.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was thinking
Hilarious.
of.
And there's also kind of a connection with Tommy being obsessed with James Dean, and James Franco played James Dean.
Yeah,
you know?
that was like his
Yeah.
first role,
I remember
first
that.
main role.
There's a similar. They have a similar dream where they're very inspired by James Dean, go to Hollywood, and one's a more successful story, but one's like Tommy Wiseau's story, which is just I enjoy as well.
What about Dave Franco? I think he was okay. Like,
yeah.
I don't know him for too many things. The few things he is in, he's always okay.
I liked him in this. He didn't do anything wrong.
He's
Yeah.
good.
And he's married to Alison Brie.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So that's a.
I knew that going in too, and I was kind of like, oh, they just like dropped her in there. Okay, great. So that's why I didn't think she was going to be a big part of it, because
Sure.
I thought she was just there as a cameo.
Right.
In the audiobook, do Tommy and what's the guy's name, the main guy?
Greg.
Greg. Does Greg ever go into like him saying that like Tommy has feelings for him or anything like that?
No,
Because I got that vibe a little bit off of this movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was weird how like Franco brothers might fuck each other. It's just it was very weird.
That'd be weird, but yeah, no, they don't even make the one joke in the movie about like him having the bed and like, oh yeah, we're gonna share the bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can explain that.
I felt like they did that a little bit on purpose, and that you kind of felt it because Tommy's such a weird guy that you're like,
because he never has like any great relationships with women, and
what do they call him in the movie, a vampire rapist?
Oh, then like the last thing I just want to talk about before we jump into spoilers is just like the narrative this movie takes. At first, like I said, I went in there thinking it was a comedy, but then without spoiling it, like takes some sad, dark moments that make you feel really bad for Tommy, who's already a messed up character in real life.
That's why I think this movie like wrote a weird line, because it made you feel bad for Tommy, but yet everybody was laughing at Tommy. It's just
the audience
weird.
was laughing at Tommy too.
Yeah, I know.
And I felt bad laughing at him a little bit at certain
Yeah.
points because I feel like he's a kind of a weird, just eccentric, weird guy.
Which I'm guessing is the point. I'm guessing that's what James Franco was going for when he was directing
Yeah.
this. I don't know how well it played, really.
Yeah, he kind of talked about that in James Franco in that interview, and he said don't feel bad for Tommy because he's living his dream now. He's going around to packed theaters around the world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like,
true.
At least once a month, and he just loves being like playing football with the fans and
Yeah, he's actually been doing that for the last 10 years. They The Room comes out in movie theaters and people go to it at like midnight, and Tommy shows up at these things and he'll like people wear tuxes to these and they throw footballs around and he throws a football with them. And
there's also
They're-
cult following things
Yeah.
at these screenings. Like people
People
throw
throw
spoons.
spoons.
What's
at
the deal
screen.
with spoons?
In the background in the apartment, there's always these framed pictures of spoons, like
For no
nobody
reason.
would have in real life, and it's not even like a stock photo. You'd like go to a store and buy
yeah,
a
it's
frame.
like
but they
somebody
would have a spoon in it.
intentionally printed off a picture of a spoon and shoved it in this frame for some reason.
And Tommy did a lot of the set decorating, which
Yeah.
you can tell.
And just side note, like The Room is having a wide release in theaters.
That's
it?
insane.
Yeah, it's having like over 100 theaters. The Room is coming out in.
That was
like,
probably
next month.
part of Tommy Wiseau's contract.
Probably.
I know one of the podcasts that I listened to was about they talked about the Disaster Artist, and I know that Tommy Wiseau, in order to like write over his rights to the book and his life and everything, he wanted to have a scene with James Franco in the Disaster Artist. But I'm guessing they filmed that, but then just like had no intention to put it in the movie.
Oh, you didn't stay after the credits?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Was it there?
Jake.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Oh my god!
There is an after credits scene in this movie.
God damn it!
And they kind of explain that on the
God
Mark Maron
damn
Awful.
it!
interview.
Yeah,
It's really good.
son of a bitch.
So are we in the spoiler section for sure?
Yeah, with that, let's go ahead and jump into the spoiler section.
Spoiler.
If that's
Spoiler.
if that's we're already there, let's talk about that after credits scene.
He's really in it.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I heard there was an after credit scene. They do like the first roll of credits. They start doing like the end roll credits, and I was like, is it really gonna be there? And the end credits scene is James Franco as Tommy talking to Tommy in
As another
playing
character.
playing a different character in a
But
scene,
but
but he
it's
has like
still Tommy.
but he has like a crappy mustache or something. And,
Which he drew on with
Yeah.
marker.
oh, dude.
Yeah, that's what they
awesome.
said. In
Oh my
this other
god, it
interview I
looks so
heard.
bad. I didn't know why. That makes
awesome.
sense. But yeah, they're talking to each other in these weird Tommy terms. Like at one point, Tommy Wiseau's character asks if he wants to go back to his house for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah, Franco said that Tommy sent him a text, and he was apparently in a glasses store trying on new glasses, and he's like, "Would this be good for my character?" And he was like, "Oh, and I want a mustache," and he like started drawing one on and sent a picture to Franco. He's like, "No," he's like, James was like, "No, we can get you a fake mustache." He's like, and then he showed up,
Oh my God.
with his double. Triple belts and it's another.
Oh yeah, that's the other
character
thing. That, yeah, he apparently the real Tommy Wiseau wears a belt underneath his butt, like around his legs, because it makes his butt look better.
That's so weird.
There's very few moments where you can tell that Franco nails that interpretation, but I feel like Tommy was trying to do his own thing a little bit at the same time.
Yeah.
Like trying to separate himself from himself, if that makes sense.
That's just meta on so many levels, and I'm pissed I didn't see it.
It's super weird, super funny scene.
And I guess they didn't want that at first either, but Tommy argued that he wanted to be in a scene with Franco.
I mean, why not? If it's Franco's movie.
And then Franco and Seth Rogen want to be a part of Tommy Wiseau's next movie as well.
Oh, really?
And he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'll think about it.
They're coming out with best friends. Tommy and Greg Sestero are going to
really?
be. Yeah, I'm not sure when it comes out. He said sometime next year.
It already came out in some festivals.
Oh, did
and
it?
it's got
Okay.
really good reviews. Like really good reviews.
Greg Sestero wrote it and got really. Wow, that
I
blows
know,
my
right?
mind.
I know.
I'm going to see
He
it no matter
seems
what.
like a really cool guy after listening to the
Yeah.
audiobook.
So let's talk about some of the conflict that's in this movie that also maybe took place in real life. You guys can shed some light on this, but let's talk about the relationship between Greg and Tommy. I'm going to keep calling him Mark because that's what they call him in the room, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I apologize if I keep doing
Well,
that.
that's like the
Mark and
famous
Johnny.
The famous line is, "Oh, hi, Mark." So it's
Yeah.
easy to see him as Mark.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like ingrained in my head at this point. What do you guys think of the pretty much what comes down to the main conflict between these two is Greg getting a different job outside of the room is what kind of serves the conflict towards about 75% of this movie.
And I feel like that's the only reason why Alison Brie was in this movie, is so they could have some conflict during the filming of The Room. Because they randomly meet Bryan Cranston.
Right, which is
Just thrown in there. I liked that scene.
Yeah.
But that's because I love Bryan Cranston.
I'm not sure if that served as just a plot device for the disaster artist.
Because in the movie, it's Bryan Cranston is directing an episode of Malcolm in the Middle. He needs a lumberjack character. Greg has a beard, but Tommy wants to film a scene where he reveals that he's shaved his beard for this like wedding photo shoot or something.
Yeah.
It's not really clear in the movie. We think we discovered when we watched The Room last time that it's like a scene where they're all sitting around in tuxes and he comes in clean shaven. They're like, "Wow, baby face," whatever.
Right.
And we think it was like a costume marathon, but originally it was like wedding photos. Or it's confusing.
What's the name of there's a name of this marathon that they do in San Francisco.
Yeah,
and I only knew it from listening to the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And then I heard them mention it just before that scene in the room, and then I was like, well. Then we all kind of like gasped and like, well, we just realized a secret, but I'm sure people know.
Yeah.
It seems like there's like unexplained in the movie, but unless you're like really listening in and know what that even is.
It seems like there's a lot of homework to like this movie. Like how many times have you seen The Room?
Only like 3 or 4 times maybe.
I've seen it. I think I've seen it probably 5 times because I show it to people and I'll sit down and watch the whole thing.
Do you have it too?
That's why I've watched it on YouTube.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. It might be there
for a while. I don't know if it's there anymore. Like
Gotcha.
a year ago, I saw it on YouTube. But
I think if you take the context, like let's say you went into the disaster artist with no previous context of the room, of the character, and anything of his backstory, I feel like the plot devices work in this film good enough that you could be intrigued by how weird Tommy is and how that would affect the relationship about him not being part of the room, and that's something as small as shaving your beard could upset the character of Tommy.
I was totally into the first third of this movie. Like, it had a good pacing. It didn't like go over little minute things too much. It's just like, hey, we met. We don't know why we have this connection, but we do.
As far as like the lack of explanation, like in real life, as Tommy has an apartment in L.A., where his money came from, how old he actually is. This movie just plays it off so well. And that you just buy into it and like, okay, well, that's the case. We're just going to go and go along for the ride here.
Yeah, like the scene where Seth Rogen goes to the bank. He's like, doesn't think his check is going to cash because he's getting it straight from Tommy, and the banker's just like, this account's like a bottomless pit. Like, oh my god! And I believe it. I think he had millions of dollars. The room cost like $6 million to make.
Yeah.
I believe.
So crazy.
Some insane amount.
The advertising for he
with-
left a billboard up for it.
Yeah, he had a billboard, and he
for
paid for
5
that
years
premiere.
or something like that.
Yeah.
It's still stupid that he paid for both cameras. Like, usually you rent a camera. He's like, no, I want the best.
And that rig that he had to carry both cameras,
Yeah.
he custom
Yeah,
made.
that was a custom rig.
Really?
My
Yep.
God.
And then they didn't even. Well, the things that they do use in the room, that whenever they cut to the digital, it's like you can tell because it's like that's when it goes blurry.
yeah, it looks awful. Uh-huh.
That's
And like the
awesome.
green screen they used is pathetic. It's so bad in the movie.
And there's another thing that they left out of the movie from the book is that there was a completely another actor that was supposed to play Mark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even though Tommy wrote it for Greg.
Yeah.
For Greg. There was another actor. They were filming for like 2 weeks with both this other actor and Greg.
What?
And they were lying to this other actor, saying that that the producers wanted Greg to see Greg in some other production, and then they ended up firing. They don't cover that, right?
No,
No.
I thought
They
they
don't
were
touch it
going
all.
to because you told me about it, and it feels like a big part of it, kind of.
Yeah,
but-
that could have been the
Yeah.
drama. There was a major thing that could have been
Well,
great in the movie.
That would explain why Greg would stay there, just so he could have his part still
Yeah.
and not have it taken away by this other guy.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
Favorite moments for me in this movie, where especially was the one we're gonna get to next, and that is the final screening, and that is kind of like the culmination of all the efforts that Tommy and Greg have worked up to this point. This is kind of the downhill slide after the conflict. But how'd you guys like that final screen?
That whole scene cracked me up the entire time, just because I had the same reaction to The Room, and like the first time I watched it, even now when I watch it, like when we watched it together, we're all laughing at the same stuff we've always laughed at. I don't feel like that's how it went though, like the premiere itself. But I feel like
definitely exaggerated.
yeah, I feel like that's it was more of a culmination of how people feel about it now. Like I feel like if you went to one of those like weird midnight releases of or midnight screenings, that's how people would be in the audience, like throwing stuff and cheering and to like do it when he's gonna kill himself,
Right.
But not the premiere of the movie. I don't think it'd get that like uproar during the first time anybody ever sees it.
Yeah, the first time it would be more like what Jason Mantzoukas, he just looks at the other guy and says, "I do not like this."
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like they went like overboard on the reactions. Like this is what a midnight showing would be. This is like the new Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, yep.
It's like for our generation. But going to the first showing of that, I don't think that reaction would be what they showed in the movie.
Probably the first half would be like everyone's confused and pissed.
Yeah, and they would just stay that way through the entire movie, I would think.
Yeah. The laughing at the end was definitely exaggerated. Like everybody, I don't think everybody would be laughing that hard at it, and like I don't laugh that hard. Yeah. Anyways, but.
In the movie, they get to the laughing part, and that helps Greg turn around Tommy and say, "Look at what this movie's doing for the crowd."
Yeah,
that makes me wonder how that actually played out in real life.
I know.
I've heard he was pissed for a long time about the reception of it, which he kind of is angry. Like I was laughing at the movie. That was one of the times I felt really bad for Tommy, and they go to James Franco and he's crying because people are laughing at his movie,
right?
And I can't stop laughing at it. I'm like, I feel bad now.
But as far as like movie sense, I feel like if the Disaster Artist would have took it much more how it actually played out, that would have been a horrible ending.
Oh yeah,
so
they couldn't have ended it with everyone hating the movie.
I was thinking of a possibility that they could have like flash forward like a year and then like have at the showings and have like all the fans like dressed up as the characters would have been
that could have worked too. Yeah,
it was kind of cool how they showed.
They definitely had room to expand the movie.
Yeah, they did.
They had room.
Yeah, they had the room.
Yeah, they did show like some actual footage of Tommy at these like showings and people like enjoying it and people lined up for it. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was a nice touch. But as far as like conclusions go, it worked for the Disaster Artist. I'll give it that, because I felt bad for Tommy when people were laughing.
Yeah.
But then I actually felt genuinely happy for him when he started to realize that what this movie is doing for the crowd, and that for the Disaster Artist that works.
And it touched on the button points or the points that were kind of said in the movie, like you don't know his age still, you don't know how much money he has or where he gets it from,
right?
You don't know where he's from, like it's still like it's just said in bold letters.
And like one of the motifs in this movie is all about just the relationship between Tommy and Greg, and they made a promise to each other that they were going to do this together no matter what, and that follows through all the way to the end of the Disaster Artist, which is just a nice key note to that relationship and how that played out.
Yeah, because they're still working together today.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, what was your guys' favorite scene, you think?
So mine is probably one of the worst was when they're filming the sex scene in the room, and Seth Rogen's like, "Is he trying to get in her belly button?" It's just like, oh man, it's perfect.
I was actually gonna say that. I think that was one of my favorite scenes. That whole sequence when he's James Franco is. I'm pretty sure he has prosthetics on his face to make his face more angular to look like Tommy,
and one of his eyes is like.
Yeah,
and he had a weird nose
died.
too. It looked more pointy.
And I feel like he might have had prosthetics on his body too, because when you watch The Room, Tommy Wiseau has a weird shaped body. Like it's strange. Like he looked strange. So he's like stark naked with this cock sock on, and he's having this argument with Greg in front of everybody, like naked. And then he tries to jump in bed with the girl, and he's like, why does her body look like this? She's disgusting. Like,
you're a movie actress. Where's the makeup person?
What are these freckles?
Yeah,
yeah, that part was great.
My favorite part, because I had no idea this actor was in the movie, but when Zac Efron came on, that was the fucking best.
It was so good.
I watched clips of The Room, but I didn't see this clip. And when he went so like 100% at Josh Hutcherson, just like, where is he? Where's the money? You better give me my money. And then the whole studio looked shocked around him. That's like the part I laughed the most at in this movie.
Yeah, that part was good.
And when we watched The Room earlier that day, we were talking about how like that was the best scene in The Room.
The most well acted.
One of my little parts that I liked was Greg's mom meeting Tommy for the first time.
Oh,
And just like thinking that like the worst is gonna happen to, like he's either gonna get murdered or raped or something.
Yeah, I thought like the look on her face was like, this guy's gonna fuck my kid.
Like, how old are you? 18.
He's like, yeah, you're 18.
And then the other one was
good.
watching Tommy trying to like catch a football and to kick a
oh
football.
yeah.
So
Just,
good.
like, which they explain a little bit more, like that he had lived in San Francisco for like 2 or 3 years, like during the height of like the 49ers, and Greg mentioned like Joe Montana, and Tommy's like, what? And had never touched a football. And he features it in his movie like
4
football,
times.
and then also a basketball on a rooftop scene, which makes no
Yeah,
sense.
I feel like he feels like the football's like the
It's all
totem of
American.
Americana. Yeah, it's weird.
He like denies every other language that's being spoken in the other, like there's like the French. One guy tries to say something in French, and he like try to get it cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
One of the scenes I also liked was scene for the room on the rooftop, and Tommy keeps coming out of the door.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget what he says, but he's like, has to give him a water bottle in order for him to get the scene right.
Yeah.
And it looks, when they do the side-by-side comparison of what they did in the Disaster Artist and the room, it's like, God, this is sick, and
It's
how it
so
works
weird.
so
Yeah.
well.
That was one of my best scenes too. But that was the first trailer to this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna
was that
say
scene.
I wish they hadn't shown that like full sequence in the trailer
Yeah.
because that was one of the better like
Yeah.
gags that worked really well.
Yeah, but I think so too.
Is there any moments that actually didn't work for you guys as far as the Disaster Artist movie plot goes?
What did you guys think at the very beginning? Like with all the celebrities talking about like how they loved the room.
So that apparently they put that in very intentionally because they said that I think what they said was they got a wide enough variety of people that you're bound to like one of them.
Sure.
So and they're gonna say good things about the room.
and like I don't remember all of them, but I don't think any of them are actually in the cast of this movie, right?
No, it was like J.J. Abrams,
Kevin Smith,
Kevin Smith,
Adam Scott. Because I think it would have made more sense if like people from the actual cast of the movie talked about it. Like I want to hear Paul Scheer's thoughts on it.
Wasn't the main kind of the feedback was it's the greatest accomplishment to failure? Is that one of the motifs that the actors talked about in the beginning?
I think that's what Adam Scott kind of went into.
Oh, yeah,
It was like
so-
the last quote before the movie
Yeah,
started.
so like it was a testament to failure, and he would have liked to go back in time and just watch the production.
Yeah.
like we don't talk about the best picture winner from 10 years ago. But yeah, we keep on talking about the room.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I agree with. I mean, that makes sense. People still watch this movie, and it
I love
yeah,
the
people are
social
still talking
media
about
for
it.
the Disaster Artists. They've
God.
had some good, just like pictures of
I haven't
James
seen any of
Franco.
this.
Express yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the review portion of the show. And that first, we're going to talk about some box office numbers for the Disaster Artist. Interesting enough, we already said it's $6 million
For the room.
You guys remember what that pulled in afterwards?
They just said it made a profit.
$1,200 or something.
Yeah, like
You're
it
talking about
was
the room,
the
right?
premiere was or the first like running of it was $1,200, and I think now it's made its money back and more.
That's what it said,
It has
yeah.
to
Yeah.
have, yeah.
Yep.
So the Disaster Artist, the actual movie, is sitting at $13 million, which I think it cost $10 million to make.
Yeah, like it's not
Yeah.
playing everywhere.
Is it going to? Do you know?
I think
I
it's
don't know.
I'm not sure if it
I think there's other markets that's going to be released in still.
I think it might because I feel like this is a dark horse for a couple of Oscar nods.
It is.
So I feel like it might get released wider when that happens.
All right, guys. So now it's time to give our 5-star review for the Disaster Artist. Who would like to kick it off?
I already can tell from talking to you guys, I'm going to be the lowest out of all of you.
I felt that way.
That's fine.
too when you started talking.
I think I'm gonna. This is a very average movie for me, so I think I'm just gonna go 2.5 stars out of 5.
2.5 out of 5?
Yeah, it didn't really blow me away. There were some scenes that I liked, but a lot of stuff just didn't really work. I thought it was too short.
I feel weird giving it a perfect 5-star review, but
That's insane.
No, okay, so
Yeah, no, I got a
Yeah.
I got a tweet from you saying this is your best movie of the year.
No, I think it's my favorite movie that came out this year. But there's a lot of context there, like you said, like you should be able to go into a movie and just appreciate it for what it is without any context. And I feel that with the context and knowing everything I know about Tommy and the room and the production and everything, I feel like it's a 5-star movie and it's in my Hall of Fame.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I think that's the first 5-star we've had on the show.
Yep, I think so.
Andy
seriously?
broke that. I think Andy broke that ice.
Yeah,
You guys didn't give some other bullshit movie 5 stars?
I
Nope.
don't think anybody gave it 5 stars.
nope, a couple 4.5.
That's
no
the second
5s.
best movie you can think of.
that we reviewed this year.
Oh, yeah.
We've only been recording since August.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
Okay. I would go 5, but I can't like recommend it to like everybody, obviously. So that's why I'm gonna go 4.5. And also after reading the book or listening to the book, I feel like they could have done more. So
Sure.
that would have given me
Do
a 5.
you think my score will go down if I listen to the book, the audiobook?
Well, you can't take it back.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's set in stone now, bud.
All right. Well,
Yeah, live with this
possibly.
forever.
I highly recommend the book, especially if you like the room.
should I give it 4.5? Nah, I'm sticking with 5.
You already did
I'm
it.
sticking with 5.
So I had not context to this movie, but it was pretty much buried behind me. I've forgotten most about the room, and did research a little bit about Tommy prior to go seeing this, just because I wanted to familiarize myself with this movie in the context of it. And I think part of the movie that I experienced so much was seeing it with you guys, because we were just dying laughing during the movie, which I think definitely helps the experience. But also just like the acting, the portions that were meant to be awkward were super awkward, which made it funny. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. For as comedies go, like I think it's definitely one of the better comedies of 2017.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of good comedies this year.
Not really, none that I can think of.
If I went by myself, it might be a 4.52.
No, that's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Like I was next to my wife and her best friend, and they were just howling.
Dying. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was next
yeah.
to them
They
too.
couldn't breathe like within the first 5 minutes.
I
Like they
know.
were laughing so hard.
And they were just laughing because of James Franco as Tommy, just the things he was saying and doing, like the way he was moving, even was
because
just funny.
we had just watched it.
Yeah.
And we were just like we knew exactly like he's perfect.
See, that I feel like that's the only reason why you guys are rating it as high as you are, is because like
Yeah.
you've watched The Room numerous times, like you've listened to probably like 10 hours worth of podcasts and an
Well-
audiobook of The Room.
What else could you compare this to? Like another experience you've had where like
trying to think of something similar, and I just can't, like
Yeah.
even like another autobiographical movie.
Well, the only one I can think of is Ed Wood, and I like that
Yeah.
movie way better than Disaster Artist, because
Yeah,
it did
I've-
a better job at like exploring Plan 9 from Outer Space without, because I've never seen that movie still, and I love Ed Wood.
Yeah, I've heard that was like a big comparison was Ed Wood to this movie, and that Ed Wood is better. I've never seen it, so
Oh,
yeah,
it's so
should
good.
be on my list.
What are the chances that the Disaster Artist and The Room come out together in a combo pack?
Very high.
Yeah.
I think there's no way they don't do that. Steelbook?
I don't know about a steelbook. I don't think it made enough money for a steelbook.
Tommy's
Definitely
face
not.
etched in steel.
Yeah, I want like a 3D one. You can like feel his face.
It's embossed.
Yeah.
His ass.
Okay, you're winning me over. All right.
His ass has to be on the back. Like,
Yeah.
Imagine a combo
No,
pack.
you open it up and it's just ass. That'd be good.
Imagine a combo pack that's split right in the middle and has Franco on one side and Tommy on the other, just
I
like
could
the
see
Room
that,
cover,
or like the face-off cover.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
I love that. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I think it'll come out with the Disaster Artist, The Room, and the Room shot-for-shot remake they did.
Yeah.
And one where you can watch them side by
Side.
side.
Oh, that's such a good.
Throw it
idea.
all together
Yeah,
in
they
one
need to.
package.
Yeah,
and-
I want that.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the last portion of our show, and that is going to be the Riley Trivia.
This is a Riverdale quiz for the CW show The Riverdale, which is based
What?
on Archie comics.
What?
So this is going to be a group effort between me, Andy, and Jake.
Do any of us know anything about the TV show Riverdale?
I know a little bit about Archie comics.
I know the 4 main characters of Archie comics.
Yep, that's about
So
where I am
This
too.
isn't gonna go over any story things. It's just like if these character names are real or fake.
Okay.
All right, guys, let's do it.
First one is Waldo Weatherby.
That's,
God.
I think that's a real name, and I think he's a journalist.
I could get behind that.
Context.
We're going real character?
I'd say he's a real character.
Real character.
He is real. He
Yeah!
is the principal of Riverdale High.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
One for one, folks.
Waldo Weatherby.
Weatherby.
Okay. Number 2, Tinkle Tenderfoot.
That is false.
That sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons character. There's
Yeah,
no
I'll say
way.
false on
Sounds
that.
like an elf's name.
Okay, yes, that is fake.
Yay!
Two for
All right,
two.
so you feel good, right? Okay.
Yep.
All right, number 3, Rush Ripford.
Oh God, that sounds real.
That sounds
like straight out of
Like
Archie.
a bully. Like a
yeah,
bully
or like the
character.
lead football guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's like a fast car.
Uh huh.
That's got to be real, right?
You want to go real?
Real.
Nope.
Oh,
Damn it!
All
Dropped
I
one.
got some game theory things going on here.
Oh,
I
God.
can't
2 for
even
3s
go
here.
like this. Okay, number 4 is Tall Boy.
Like the alcohol, like the can.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Like
like a
the entire
tall-
name.
Tall space boy.
tall boy.
I'm
Gotta
not,
be like a nickname
my
if it's
my
real.
confidence is shattered after Rush.
Yeah.
That sounds stupid.
Rush sounded like a good, cool name.
Yeah.
Tall boy could be like a guy at a bar.
They're not.
Hey,
they're not
tall
all,
boy.
They're not all alliterative. As well.
I don't think that's real.
I don't think it is either.
But because of how the last one went, I'm gonna say it is real.
All this
vote-
meta shit. I
I
don't
vote
like
for
it.
real because Riley's going over here like I'm into some game theory. Like I think it's
Oh, you think
a
I'm
real.
gonna go every other?
No, I think you're giving us like a really stupid name of a dumb character on the
Okay.
show.
So Andy says yes. I say no. What do you say, John? You're the deciding factor.
Yeah. Yes.
it's real.
Yes! Oh, I knew it.
He is
Yes.
a member of the Serpents, which is the high school gang.
Okay, so there's a
on the south
gang
side.
with dumb names now. So question: is that a real name or is that like a nickname, like a gang name?
That's his only given name.
Oh my god.
Tall
And these
boy.
are all characters in Archie comics as well.
Oh.
And they all the names are in.
So we're
Riverdale.
Everything's out the window right now.
Okay, so we now know that Tall Boy is a name that they will give a character on a CW show.
Yeah.
we're 4 for 5,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Three for
Three for
five.
four.
Or
Three for four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5, Penny Peabody.
That sounds real.
That sounds very real.
But is it real?
Isn't a character in another comic?
Something else. There's another
Like
Peabody.
Sherman and
Yeah, Sherman and
Peabody.
Peabody.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
And
of.
Penny is in like Inspector Gadget.
I don't
So
know.
am I putting both those together?
I think this is false.
This is fake.
that sounds fake to
Yeah,
me. Let's do
sounds
fake.
This is real.
God damn it!
Oh no!
We overanalyzed again. Son of a bitch.
Now we're 3 for 5.
3 for
Yeah.
5.
And
Oh,
here's
no.
so a little more trivia is that there's tons of characters in Archie there that came from Archie, like Josie and the Pussycats, which is featured in the Riverdale show. And they're also Riverdale is produced by the same guy that does Arrow and Flash, but they're also, what does he make? He's making Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which also came from Archie. They're remaking.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
The most
Oh, yeah.
important question is: are they bringing back Melissa Joan Hart for Sabrina the Teenage
She's probably the mom or one of the aunts in
Cameo.
Sabrina. That's gotta be.
Or the voice of the.
Oh, that'd be really good.
Salem.
I would love that.
Okay,
That
where
would
we're at.
spark so many bad fan theories. Like, what happened to Melissa?
Okay, are you ready for number 6?
Yes.
Is Paul Puma.
So, I feel like Paul's a good high
You gotta
school
imagine
name.
Archie
Yeah, but Puma?
was made in like what, the 50s?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say I've been awful at this game so far, so don't take my opinion for anything.
I would say no.
Okay, I would say no too. But
All right, that's majority.
It's fake.
Good.
Good
We
job.
need- I don't even think 50s people knew what a puma was.
No.
Before their time.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, number 7 is Dipstick,
That's got to be real.
and that is a
If
space.
Tall Boy was real, Dipstick's real.
It's
that's-
probably another gang member.
Yeah. It has to
be a
They're
gang member,
stupid-ass
right?
Yeah.
gang. I'll say yeah.
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 False.
No! Damn it. Dipstick.
Come on, dipstick.
We're on number 7 upcoming, right? Or
This is
8.
number 8 next.
Number 8. Okay.
So
we
I
have,
think
we
we're-
have 4.
So we're 4 and 3 right now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
this isn't looking good. This is like our fucking Pixar quiz all over.
I can
again.
go all the way up to 20 if you want to even it out.
No, I feel like we're just gonna get worse doing this. So
Number 8 is Fangs Fogarty.
We got another F and F here.
I feel like
Fangs
vampire shit has
Fogarty.
been in Jughead before
Yeah.
and Archie and all
Fangs.
that stuff.
Fangs sounds like a good 50s name.
I'm gonna go yes here, folks.
I'm guessing nobody would ever call him Fogarty. I'm guessing like, oh hey Fangs.
Or Mr. Fogarty.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Wait, what? Is he a teacher? He's a
Well,
gang
we've had a
member.
principal already.
It's all in a
probably
high
have
school.
it. Oh,
Mostly.
yeah.
It's a
Okay,
high
no
school
teacher.
drama.
No teacher has a first name of Fangs.
Well, Riley just said that to screw with us.
Yeah.
I think it's real.
I think it's real too. That's majority.
Yep.
It's
Go
real.
for it.
Good
Yes.
job.
All right, 5 for 8. 5 for 8.
Jesus.
Let's do it.
You can do this. Okay. Okay.
So we do need 2 more for like a C. If we get 1 more, we've gotten over half.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Dilton Doily.
Dilton?
Dilton?
Spell that. Dilton.
Right. Yeah.
Dilton.
Dilton Doily.
I've never heard of any name called Dilton in
yeah,
my
that's-
life. I'm gonna say yes. Dilton Doily.
Yes.
But don't listen to me.
All right, you're the tiebreaker, John.
You've never
do
heard
what
it.
you
But
say.
I
you're gonna
say no.
You say
There's
no?
There's no way there's a fucking Dilton Doily.
Don't listen to me.
I'm gonna go no as well.
Oh no.
It's real.
yeah. I told you not to listen to me, John.
Wait, so now we really need this next one.
Yeah.
to-
You
You guys
otherwise
really want to
we're
watch the
fail.
show now or not watch the show?
No, well,
No.
much less.
I didn't think I could hate Archie anymore, but I do.
Okay. Number 10, Kurt the Ish.
Kurt the Ish.
Kurt the Ish.
Kurt feels like a 50s name.
I'm gonna say no, so it's up to you, Andy.
God damn it! I was gonna try to jump in and say no to put it on you.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is not a real person.
It's fake.
Yes!
Woo! 6 out of
Fuck you,
10.
Riley.
So we got a D.
We got a
D
which-
minus.
That's a passing score for
Yeah.
Super Media All Stars.
We'll take that.
Right.
All right, folks. That being said, that has been episode 25 of Super Media All Stars. You can find us on all kinds of social media. The first one being Facebook at Super Media All Stars. Please like and follow us there. You can find us on Twitter at SmashPod. You can find us on Instagram at Super Media All Stars.
You can follow me on Instagram at SteelbookObsessed. I'm close to 700 followers.
Damn, getting up there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice.
I just put up a Steelbook unboxing video of all 3 Star Trek Blu-rays with the talk of like Quentin Tarantino doing his own Star Trek. So
Oh, yeah.
Be sure to like and follow us on podcasts on your MacBook services or Apple services. Be sure to, if you're an internet radio fan, check us out on TuneIn. And if you're an Android user, check us out on Google Play, where you can listen to us there as well. And as Jake said, we put all our content on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe there as well.
Where can we follow you, Andy?
Oh, I am on Twitter, Stuper Andy. We're gonna revive our old Stuper Video Bros.
Are you?
Cool.
Maybe.
I heard about this.
Yeah, we're trying something out. You know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And don't you have a podcast, Riley? Or like graphics of a podcast or something that I saw on your Snapchat?
No, I've just that's just for a work project, but yeah, I do
I saw that
graphic
too.
design for lots of. I've done this logo for you guys' show back
That's
in the
right.
day, and
Yep.
You can follow me at Riley J Briggs on Twitter and Instagram. And
There you go.
Very good.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Riley. It was awesome to have
Thanks,
you.
Riley.
All right, well, guys, I thank you for joining me. Audience, thanks for listening in. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Game over, man. Game over.
Bye bye.
I am out of here.